Welcome back to the show where we run you through all the Dolphins news you need to know about. After the news you need to know about, we run you through the fan Q&A, we answer fans' questions. Before we get into the news, just wanted to throw this stat out there. Tua is the only quarterback to have 100 passer rating for the last 3 seasons. 3 years in a row, he had 100 passer rating. Only quarterback in the NFL currently to do that. Just thought that was interesting. I would love to look at Steve Young's passer rating over the years because he had a historic passer rating. So did obviously Drew Brees and players like that. But anyway, I just thought that was cool. Lots of news to talk about. So lots of crazy news. Crazy stuff happened over this weekend. A lot of veterans were released. And so this first news story comes from Pro Football Rumors. This is an update on the Miami Dolphins Jonnu Smith stuff, which has been very stressful if you're a Dolphins fan. Before we get into this, I just want to say that in recent, because football is like I don't know, maybe it's because of the NBA playoffs or something that just kind of I just miss football. It's always this, as soon as summer hits, I think is like when it gets really bad. So I've been going back and watching some Dolphins stuff, and he had such a good season. He could have had well over 1,000 yards last year if Tua didn't get hurt. And he's just such a good player. And one of the things I was thinking about is how does he compare to other tight ends in the NFL? And first of all, the Dolphins couldn't replace what he has. He is such a unique player. And I think one of the more underrated things going back and watching him last year is his quickness coming in and out of routes on short routes. And his ability to get yards after the catch on those short routes. But specifically his explosiveness on those short routes is very unique. And the most unique thing about him is his ability to do stuff with the ball in his hands in the open field. That is the most unique thing about him. You're not going to be able to replace that. I would say, a great example of that is the touchdown he had against the Rams, which was a huge play in the game. The only tight ends that I could see doing that, the first one that comes to mind is Brock Bowers. After that, there's I don't even think there is anybody else that could have done that. So he's such a unique, explosive player. He's so important in the quick passing game because he's so explosive. And you saw a lot of that with his short route running in the red zone. He obviously scored some touchdowns because of that. So he's such a unique player. You can't replace him. He's well worth the contract. I hope the Dolphins can figure it out. And it just makes the offense so much deadlier and way better. Gives Tua a really nice security blanket. And he's just an explosive player that can make big plays out of really nothing, which the Dolphins have, I would say, 2 players that can do that. Probably A-Chain and Jonnu are probably the best on the team at that. Just okay, that was a 5-yard whatever, and they turned it into a 25-yard play. And Tyreek Hill really didn't do any of that last year. And honestly, hasn't been great at it on a consistent basis throughout his Dolphins career. I think he's been, some of the things that he just has done less. He hasn't done as much of that stuff as a Dolphin. But anyway, Jonnu Smith is great. I hope they can get him back. This is an update on that situation. This is what broke. I think this. So here's the update. According to Adam Schefter of ESPN, he reported that the Dolphins, after the initial report, were in trade talks again after that initial report. The update goes on to say, again, this comes from Pro Football Rumors, Smith has expressed a desire to stay in Miami, but he's aligning for a new contract. Barry Jackson, Omar Kelly, and Isaiah Smalls Jr. have reported that the two sides, Miami and Jonnu Smith, have been in contract talks, which is a really good thing. And Mike McDaniel said of Jonnu is, this is quoting Mike McDaniel, Jonnu is a very important player and person to me and the guys. The thing that we can stand on is his professionalism and how he does about his business. There are times that business can play a part, for sure, and a team can make it complicated as they like if they have a lot of time to focus on what's going on with Jonnu. I'd encourage them to focus on what's going on in their game. So the fact that Jonnu, or Mike McDaniel, literally says he's a very important player and person to me, and that he wants him on the roster for 2025, coupled that the fact that, shout out to this reporting, like I said, been a huge complaint of mine with the reporting when it comes to the Dolphins, is the beat writers coming in clutch here reporting that the Dolphins and Jonnu Smith have had contract talks, even though that they're far apart on those talks, which, just figure it out, whatever. He's too important, and honestly, like, this was proven, the proof is in the pudding. He had his career season in this offense. This offense fits him so well. And I think some of the things that have been thrown around about him, like, he can't block, isn't true. I think that's one of the best things about him. He is a good blocker. I mean, he's not phenomenal, but he's good. All the offenses he's ever played in, whether it's Josh McDaniels in New England or Arthur Smith in Atlanta and Tennessee, all of those offenses required him to block a lot. So that's something that he's actually pretty good at. I wouldn't say he's great at it, but he's more than serviceable. So he's just such a good player on all two phases of the game, and he's such a unique player where he can run slot receiver routes because he's so explosive. And hopefully we can pay him. And just to throw this out there, I do think Julian Hill is a very talented player if he can hopefully he can take a good step, because physically he's so gifted. He's a very different tight end than Jonnu Smith, but he has a lot of potential that I don't think he's reached yet, but he's shown flashes of it. So I hope that we can keep Jonnu Smith and Julian Hill can take a big step forward, and that tight end combination is pretty good if things go well. So hopefully we can keep those guys together. And another thing I want to bring up, clearly there's a Mike McDaniel wants to keep Jonnu Smith. Does Chris Grier? I would hope so, but clearly Mike McDaniel doesn't want to lose Jonnu Smith. I think that's an interesting thing that's going on there. Anyway, cap space. Thought this was interesting to throw in there. Obviously, people kind of have their ears up about Jair Alexander. So the Dolphins currently rank 28th in cap space with $13 million. Obviously, some of the guys that have been reported in terms of competition for Jair's services, the Dolphins have been named. The 49ers have been named, who are second in the NFL in cap space, for reference, with $53 million, which is crazy. Don't know how they did that. And I don't remember who else was named. It was some other, I think it was the Vikings, maybe? I don't remember. But the point is the Dolphins are not even close to some of these other teams in cap space when it comes to, I think that's going to be the biggest hurdle of acquiring a player like that, is the fact that everyone else has more cap space than we do, pretty much, who's interested in him. And it can't be more glaring than 28th in cap space to the second most cap space in the NFL with the 49ers. This next news story comes from Pro Football Rumors. Ifeatu Melifonwu could start in Miami. I hope I said his name right. Melifonwu has taken an early lead on one of the two starting safety positions, per Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald. All right. We'll see. A lot of people like his potential, physically gifted. He just has had a ton of injury problems throughout his career. It looks like he's hit the ground running. And I've said this so many times, but like, Anthony Weaver is a very good defensive coordinator. So he can get the most out of his players. He proved that last year. I'm assuming he can do the same thing with this player, with Melifonwu. And we'll see if that can be the case. He just has to stay healthy, and maybe the Dolphins can get the best out of him. This next news story comes from Pro Football Rumors. Lingering knee injury drove left tackle Teron Armstead to retirement. Just wanted to throw this in here. We kind of already knew that. The couple of that was like he had apparently a terrible hip. But the reason I wanted to talk about, at least throw this in here really quick, is that I love that he's still around the team as much as he is. So I just think it's a good thing. You know, not a lot of Dolphins. Maybe honestly, I can't remember the last Dolphin that was like around, that was recently retired, that came back like that. To help the younger players. Like I can't even remember the last time that happened. This next news story comes from Pro Football Rumors. Jalen Ramsey to skip Dolphins mandatory minicamp. When asked about has anything changed with the Jalen Ramsey situation, Mike McDaniel says nothing has changed. Per Barry Jackson, the Miami Herald, who cares about his workout bonuses? Nobody cares. Adam Schefter has reported more interest than people realize on Jalen Ramsey, which I don't believe. I think he would have already been traded. So many moves were made today, and I could eat my words. He could be moved tomorrow. One of the things that I do worry about is this Jair Alexander thing makes things way worse because he was cut. So that makes me think that, it's just going to be harder to trade Jalen. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know who's going to take this cap space. Oh, yeah, another team that was mentioned was the Los Angeles Rams for Jair Alexander, who was also interested in trading for Jalen Ramsey. Very similar issues with both of these players. Both are off-the-field headaches. One is just way younger and more injury-prone than Jalen Ramsey. So, I don't know. Maybe the Dolphins, just as fast as they can, get Jalen Ramsey off this team. Now, Jair Alexander, I don't know how the Dolphins would be able to afford him in any way. Now, nothing has been concrete. I don't even think visits have been reported. I'm sure that's going to be reported very soon of him taking free agent visits. I would assume the Dolphins would try at least to get him. I don't know how they would. Like, they just can't compete with money. Especially if the 49ers are that interested in him as a player. Like, there's just no way that they can compete with the amount of cap space that they have. So it's a pipe dream. It's awesome that it has been released because it's the biggest need on the Dolphins roster is corner, and he's relatively young. He's only 28 years old. He's a great player when he is playing. He's had some bad injury history. Has had some weird off the field stuff. I don't know if it's just because he doesn't like playing in Green Bay. I don't know what that's about, but so he comes with baggage, but he's a great player and would fix a huge problem on the Dolphins roster. You get a player who's young, who has all pro caliber talent, and who fills the biggest need on your roster. That's pretty awesome. That checks pretty much every box. It's just, can the Dolphins pay him? Probably not. Especially since there's going to be a big market for a player like that who plays a very important position, a premium position. So I doubt the Dolphins. Hey, if Chris Greer can figure that out, that would be awesome. I doubt he can, but that would be a dream. And, the Dolphins' defense would be so... Not only would it be better, but, that's a really good defense. I still think it's a really good defense. When you talk about the front seven, especially, I think they have one of the most talented front sevens in the NFL, in my opinion. If they add a player like, excuse me, like that snot everywhere. Over here trying to blow my nose. Excuse me. What was I saying? Oh, they have a great front seven. They just need... It would be nice to have a reliable, proven player, a blue chip player, at least one in the secondary. It just, again, it comes down to will they be able to afford it? And if they were to acquire him, that's just a scary defense, especially with a play caller like Anthony Weaver, who's phenomenal. So And he fits the system, a lot of cover 2 zone. He's got that explosive closing ability. He's a playmaker. So yeah, they just would be adding a great player, and I hope they can somehow get it done. But it's not something that I even think is like viable, to be honest with you. It's a pipe dream. One of the things that I will, before we move on from the secondary issues that this team, at least on paper, it seems like they're going to have problems with, is that Jalen Waddle, for whatever reason, was raving about the secondary. And he recently had a meet with the media, and he was talking about how good they looked. So I don't know, you're really relying on players who are unproven. Storm Duck and Ethan Bonner and Cam Smith. It's like, I don't know. Cater Kohu, who's the most ignorant, I swear to God. Just keep him in the slot and he would have a very good career. Okay, so this next news story is actually pretty cool. I don't really know who... This article was made by Clutch Points, which I was like, okay. But it's an interesting article. It's basically collecting quotes from coaches... And so it's a good article, but collecting quotes from Dolphins assistant coaches from, I think it's just rookies. Let me make sure. So this is what it is. Rising Miami Dolphins rookies turning heads in 2025 OTAs. So they've taken a collection of, again, quotes from assistant coaches, and these are the players that have stood out so far. Jonah Savine, I think is how listen, trust me, I apologize, but Jonah, apparently, and again, my favorite pick in the draft, I think a lot of Dolphins fans' favorite pick, the guard out of Arizona, has come into OTAs with an approach that of hard work. Sorry guys, this article is like glitching out. Offensive line coach Butch Barry sees something special, not just in his skill set, but his work ethic. Butch Barry said, quote, and one word to describe him is, quote, explosiveness. You see he's a big body guy that's really explosive. He can run. He's a big body, heavy-handed player that can anchor the pocket, but he's got the explosiveness in the run game. So that's a huge W. I don't think anybody expected anything different. I think we kind of expected this out of him. Again, this to me is the most talented offensive line that Tua has had. It's the best offensive line that he's had. I'm a believer in Patrick Paul. I think he's going to be a great player. A lot of people forgot he took a lot of starting snaps last year. And one of my favorite games was at home versus the Jets. Now, granted, he wasn't playing against like a great pass rusher, but he made him look like it was basically like he was playing his little brother in the backyard. Like if you go back and watch that game, he dominated in that game, dude. Like some of the snaps that it was like eye-opening good. So that was still an NFL player, and I'm excited to see what he does in the future. I guess if you don't like Patrick Paul, then you're like, you're probably whatever on the offensive line. But I think from left tackle to right tackle, this is the best offensive line that they've had. So it's good to hear that Jonah is getting off on the right foot. And I'm really, really excited. I just hope that they can keep this offense together. I don't want to lose Jonnu Smith. I'm excited to see what this offense looks like with a very good, competent, more than competent offensive line. And another good thing about it is they're all young and talented, and pretty much all of them are under contract, which is great. So it's great to hear Jonah is getting things started off well. Let's see here. This article is like, is that it? Jonah was the only one? I swear I thought there was more. I don't know why they call Jonah a gamble in this article, like he was a gamble in the draft. I don't really understand that. I guess maybe because of the trade. But Yeah, I don't know. I guess that was it. I thought there was more to this article, but I guess Jonah is the only one that they have here. But even the article mentions like he's a player that can be a foundational player for years to come, which is true. And let's see. I just want to make sure. Oh, okay. God. Hold. Or maybe not. And maybe not. I guess that's it. I can't find the rest of the list here. Kind of terrible. But that's good that Jonah is I mean, in terms of things that I think everybody... I mean, Waddle apparently is having a very good training camp. Or, excuse me, OTA so far, which is good to hear. We've heard good things about the defense being geared to in this defense, especially with the linebackers. Apparently, Tyler Dotson, who made a point to say how much improved and at least the communication on the defenses, and even Jalen Waddle brought that up. A lot of the offensive players have brought that up, and how fast that they're playing because of that. So that's really good to hear. And I don't know. I think, and again, one thing I want to mention before we end the podcast here that people forget, this coaching staff is really good, dude. Darrell Bevell is still on this coaching staff. He's phenomenal. I really love Anthony Weaver. And then obviously Mike McDaniel, who is, I think, gotten too much hate for his time in Miami, in my opinion. I really do. Again, Dolphins fans are weird. He has, by the way, we hired him as an offensive coach. Since he's gotten here, has delivered the best Dolphins offenses in definitely over 15 years. It's not even close. I mean, they scored 70 points in a game. So, and they were great 2 years in a row. His first 2 years here, and in the third year, just too many injuries, way too many injuries, and just really bad backup quarterback decisions. But, dude, if you think about it, let's just put it this way. If they had a good backup quarterback, how many games that they would have probably won? Definitely that Colts game they would have won. And and what was I think if we won let's say we won 2 games out of all those. I mean, the Titans game's another one that they should have won. It's like we probably would have made the playoffs. We would have been a 10-win team again. So, again, I just think he gets too much hate. So, I love this coaching staff a lot. I think it's a very good one. And I'm excited for the season. I'm excited. I really can't wait to see this offensive line and what the run game is going to look like with a good offensive line and what Mike McDaniel can kind of cook up. And we've got some really good some really good young running backs like Devon Achane and Ollie Gordon and Jalen Wright. So I'm really, really excited about that. So that's it. I don't know why this article broke, but it would have been nice to go through that. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one.